In an era where the high seas are not just shipping lanes but strategic battlegrounds, the presence of aircraft carriers, the ultimate symbols of naval power, is becoming the yardstick of international clout. Among the nations that field these floating airfields, the United States has long held the undisputed top spot. However, China, with its sights set on modernizing its military and projecting its maritime influence, is emerging as a formidable challenger. So, when you pit their latest behemoths, America's Gerald R. Ford and China's Fujian, head-to-head, who truly holds the edge? America's carrier evolution, from World War II to the 21st century. No nation boasts the deep history and operational know-how with aircraft carriers like the United States. From the USS Langley, CV-1, America's first carrier, a converted coal ship in 1922, to the legendary Essex, Forrestal, and Kitty Hawk classes of World War II and the Cold War, the U.S. has relentlessly evolved and perfected the art of carrier-based combat. The current pinnacle of American carrier tech is the Gerald R. Ford class, a next-generation nuclear-powered carrier, the heir apparent to the venerable Nimitz class. The USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, commissioned in 2017 after nearly 13 years of development and testing, stands as a testament to cutting-edge defense technology, boasting a slew of innovations unseen in U.S. naval history. China's breakneck carrier development. For decades, China was a carrier-less nation. However, the game changed in the late 1990s when Beijing acquired the bare hull of the Soviet-era Varyag carrier from Ukraine under the guise of turning it into a floating casino. After an extensive rebuild, the vessel was rechristened the Liaoning, Type 001, and officially joined the People's Liberation Army Navy in 2012. From that point on, China's carrier development program went into overdrive. Just 7 years later, their second carrier, the Shandong, Type 002, was entirely domestically built and commissioned. Notably, in 2022, China once again turned heads globally with the launch of the Fujian, Type 003, a technological leap often compared directly to America's USS Gerald R. Ford. Head-to-head, Gerald R. Ford versus Fujian, who leads the pack? Commissioning year. The Gerald R. Ford entered U.S. Navy service in 2017, currently the most advanced carrier on the planet. China's Fujian was launched in 2022, with projected full operational capability around 2025. Power system. The Ford runs on nuclear power, granting decades of continuous operation without refueling. The Fujian uses conventional engines, limiting its range and time on distant deployments. Aircraft Launch System. Both utilize the cutting-edge electromagnetic aircraft launch system, EMALS. The Ford has proven its effectiveness after years of trials. The Fujian is the second carrier globally to adopt EMALS, but is still in the verification phase. Air wing capacity. The Ford can carry 75 to 90 aircraft, including stealth F-35C fighters, electronic warfare aircraft, and UAVs. The Fujian is projected to carry 60 to 70 aircraft, primarily J-15s and indigenous Chinese models like the KJ-600 and the developing J-35. Sortie rate. The Ford can launch up to 220 aircraft per day in surge operations. The Fujian's estimated rate is around 120 to 140, but this hasn't been field verified. Cost and crew. The Ford carries a staggering $13 billion price tag and a crew of 4,500 sailors. The Fujian's estimated cost ranges from $3 to $5 billion, with a crew of approximately 4,000. The verdict so far. The Ford boasts superior range, proven technology, and combat capability. The Fujian represents a monumental leap for China, but its real-world performance remains to be seen. Who's stronger? The answer is likely still floating somewhere out on the open ocean. America's decisive advantages. Operational experience. The U.S. has over a century of carrier development and operational experience under its belt, including hundreds of real-world deployments from World War II to the conflicts in the Middle East. This has forged a complete ecosystem for the U.S. Navy, from pilot training and at-sea refueling to integrated offensive and defensive tactics. Escort fleet. Every U.S. carrier strike group is shielded by a powerful escort fleet. Destroyers, cruisers, nuclear-powered submarines, along with dedicated supply ships, enabling sustained operations for months on end. Nuclear power. The Gerald R. Ford is powered by 2 nuclear reactors, providing continuous operation without refueling for 20 to 25 years, a strategic advantage when operating in far-flung regions like the Pacific or Indian Oceans. Mature email system. After a lengthy testing phase, the emails on the Ford has overcome initial teething issues and is now operating reliably, supporting higher and more flexible aircraft launch rates than traditional steam catapults. China, the fast-learning protege. Development speed. China has gone from 0 carriers to a 3-carrier nation in just over a decade. This showcases its rapidly growing military-industrial capacity and Beijing's unwavering commitment to military modernization. Fujian, a technological quantum leap. With its adoption of emails and a flat-top deck design, the Fujian is the first carrier outside the US to field an electromagnetic launch system. This paves the way for the deployment of UAVs, early warning aircraft, and next-generation fighters like the J-35. Indigenous weaponry and radar systems. China is developing advanced phased-array radar systems and air defense missiles on par with international standards, while integrating artificial intelligence and digital command technologies onto its new naval platforms. China's looming challenges. Despite its rapid progress, China still faces significant hurdles. Lack of real-world combat experience. Unlike the US, China has never deployed its carriers in combat conditions or sustained long-duration operations in distant waters. Conventional power limitations. The Fujian's conventional power plant necessitates accompanying replenishment ships, reducing its flexibility for extended deployments. Incomplete support ecosystem. The carrier itself is just the tip of the iceberg. China is still building out its fleet of escort ships, resupply vessels, logistical bases, and, crucially, the network of allies needed for true global power projection. A new carrier arms race brewing? The burning question: is China engaging in a full-blown carrier arms race with the United States? Many analysts suggest Beijing's goal isn't necessarily to dethrone Washington, but rather to establish a credible deterrent in key regions like the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, and the First Island chain. Projections indicate China could field 5 to 6 carriers by 2035, including at least 2 next-generation nuclear-powered Type 004 vessels. Meanwhile, the U.S. currently operates 11 nuclear-powered carriers and maintains a plan to replace the Nimitz class with the Ford class over the coming decades. Who holds the deeper hand? Overall, the United States still holds a commanding lead in overall naval power and carrier capabilities in terms of sheer numbers, technological maturity, operational experience, and global deployment reach. However, China is rapidly closing the gap, not just technologically, but in its strategic ambitions. Instead of simply asking who is stronger, perhaps a more profound question is, does the proliferation of aircraft carriers make the world safer, or does it push major powers into a dangerous cycle of competition and potential conflict? In a volatile world, transparency, risk control, and maritime cooperation might be the real keys, rather than just chasing bigger decks.